I have to start off today's show by talking about maybe the biggest story in all of sports that came down Friday afternoon. That being, of course, Jim Harbaugh's suspension from Michigan for the rest of the regular season from the Big Ten. Now, when I talked about this last week, not only in the Brandon's World podcast, but on Championship Rings, I've been saying that in college football, we do know that obviously teams use signs all the time. They don't have the wire, the headset communication that the NFL has in terms of coach and quarterback because the NCAA claims it's too hard to put a wire in a headset, which nobody understands. Um, we do know there have been some allegations of Michigan cheating, obviously stealing signals to, the defense telling the players whether it's going to be a run or a pass. Which again can give you an advantage, but it doesn't always mean that you're flat out going to stop every play. A defense can know a run is coming, a defense can know a pass is coming. It just depends on if you can stop it. And also in that regard, you know how long it takes for somebody to deliver a signal to a coach, for a coach to deliver a signal to a player, for that player to deliver a signal to the team, all within the amount of time as the offensive side and the other side of the ball is running their play and getting set up, and they have to run all of their strategic adjustments. I don't think it's a huge advantage. Now, Michigan, did they do something? Probably, we believe they did. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not affecting the outcome of games, I believe. If Michigan was 4-4 and not dominating people, nobody would care about it. And I thought it was oddly strange that the Big Ten decided to suspend Michigan and Jim Harbaugh while Jim Harbaugh was essentially flying with the team from Michigan to Penn State for one of their biggest games of the year, which Michigan did end up winning anyway, 24-15. It felt like a vendetta against Michigan from the Big Ten. For some reason, it feels like the Big Ten to me is afraid of Jim Harbaugh. I don't know if it's his personal rivalries, again, with the Whites of Maryland, Penn State, Ohio State. We know there's more schools coming into the Big Ten this year, but those don't have any say over what's going on right now, obviously. But it just feels like for some reason the Big Ten wants Harbaugh out of Michigan. They want Jim Harbaugh to go to the NFL. And I'm not a Michigan fan. I'm not a fan of one college football team. I am a fan of good college football. If there's one college football game I make sure I watch every year, it's Ohio State and Michigan. And to me, this just smells of pettiness from the Big Ten. It is accusing somebody, and Ohio State fans don't get rolled up with me in the comment section below, whether it's on the audio version or the video version of this podcast, because nobody was coming after you about the tattoo gate in 2010, and you were defending your players religiously. I think if the shoe was on the other foot here, Ohio State players do the same thing that Michigan players would be saying right now. And that, you know, again, it's not affecting the overall outcomes of games. Michigan is dominating people. They're blowing people off the ball. Now, they only won by 9 points this week against Penn State. And as I tweeted out on Friday, if Michigan were to lose the game, everybody would say, see, they only win because they cheat. And if they won the game by about 7 to 10 points, which is what I predicted anyway, because I knew that Penn State was going to give them a good fight, just like Penn State gave Ohio State a good fight. People would say, "Oh, see, they don't dominate people anymore without cheating. They're going to get exposed by Ohio State." Listen, I think Michigan and Ohio State have very similar resumes. I think they are the two best teams in the country. I think Michigan's offensive and defensive lines are a little bit better. I think the big difference in the game in Ann Arbor in a couple weeks will be J.J. McCarthy, the first-round quarterback, of course, for Michigan. But I think that this NCAA now, they've given Michigan extra fuel. I did not like the decision of, again, rushing into a decision. The Big Ten has no proof that Michigan actually did do this sign stealing, and again, it's all allegations. It's like throwing somebody in prison for allegations. You really can't do that without evidence that a crime has been committed. Again, if there's evidence a crime has been committed, whether it be a suspension of Jim Harbaugh, whether it be a bowl ban, absolutely, that it's earning the intention of the game. I don't think it's earning the intention of the game. I think it's a rush to judgment, and I think the fact that Michigan is fighting so hard for this. I've always said in law cases like this, if you're guilty, right, everybody's gonna fight for themselves, obviously. But if you're guilty, you're not gonna go to the lengths of testifying in court and think you have a chance to win, basically because you have no shot. You're just delaying the inevitable, and the situation that's gonna happen. Here, I feel like Michigan has a legitimate chance. I think Harbaugh wants to get this flipped. I think he wants to be on the sideline for Ohio State. If I'm an Ohio State fan slash player, I do not want Harbaugh on that sideline, obviously, because of the motivating factors that it will bring for that game. All of a sudden now, Michigan, Maryland this week on Fox becomes must watch TV. Obviously, next week, Ohio State, Michigan is must watch TV. And we'll see where it all goes. But I'm not a rush to judgment guy. Again, do I think Michigan probably stole some signs? Yeah. Do I think it should lead to a suspension? No. Do I think it's affecting the outcome of games? No. I think Michigan is the best team in the country, and I think until we approve that they deliberately stole all these signs. They knew everybody's playing before they would happen, and that's why it's leading to 50-point quads every week. Then the Big Ten shouldn't have done anything about it. And I think overall, it's just a big rush to judgment. Yesterday in his press conference, Jim Harbaugh said Michigan is America's team. And while I don't feel like that, I do feel like that this will galvanize the Michigan team and their run this year towards a national championship. Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.